Gary, the NTA seems to be getting out of the blocks early. Many, of course, observers would be saying, is this a matter of making that assessment, political assessment, leading up to the upcoming general elections, that the time to make a move is now?
Yeah, well, definitely. Carnival is over. Carnival knows that. So it's from one carnival straight into another. And this carnival is usually the Bacchanal in Trinidad and Tobago, which is general election politics. We're out of the blocks, and we are moving ahead. I am very scientific, very strategic in anything that I do. So every single thing that is done and said, we put a lot of emphasis on it. We do not operate based on knee-jerk comments. Many times we've seen political leaders make one-line statements and it comes back and it affects them for years after. I am very strategic in what happens. This decision for us to buy and ensure that we look for all 41 candidates is based, obviously, on us analyzing the situation on the ground and understanding what needs to be done. Having said that, as I said, many times people are very emotional, very affiliated to their political party, whether you be PNM, UNC, till they die, whatever. The facts, however, and regardless of what you say, as much as people may hate the UNC as much as they want, unless there is some degree of alliance between the UNC and any other political party, that political party could never get in government, and the UNC could never get in government. So as much as I know there are people in the UNC that have been bleeding the ears of the hierarchy to want to go alone. It is either they're being heavily paid by the PNM or they're as dumb as you can get. Sadly, those persons get into the ears of the UNC. It is going to speak a repeat of 1981, 1991, and 2007. Straightforward as that. There is no snowball chance in hell the UNC could ever win on its own. The persons who support that third constituency, moving all the way back to from 1981 when it started with the ONR, regardless of how much you might despise the PNM and the UNC, you go on your own, you are this time to ensure that the PNM's victory would be increased. So say, for example, there is a three-horse race this time around. What is going to happen is that the PNM will not lose any of their 22 seats, but most probably they will win 3 other seats, probably Moruga, Shogunas East, and Sawa Barataria, similar to what happened in 2007, that it could be 25-16. If there's a unification, you will get a repeat of what happened in 1986 and definitely 2010. So after all of that, we can't sit down and wait for other political parties to make the decision to do what is right, what is appropriate. So I have to make sure that we are on our footing. I give the assurance to that constituency of those 100 to 150,000 voters that we intend to get in government, whilst at the same time we are not going to be used, we are not going to be seen as an avenue for persons to get into government and throw us at the doorstep. I have indeed been disappointed to see the hierarchy of the UNC. Sometimes for weeks they cannot communicate with us because they said they're busy, not busy doing what I don't know. But again, so be it. They have their political party to run, we have ours. I have a constituency of 150,000 odd to represent. I would be meeting with the other political parties if they come up with some bright idea to say that they want to us to all go alone within the 41 seats. That again, it would be disappointed because, as I said, unless all of the political parties get together, you are never going to see a repeat of the PNM. And I think that is what the vast majority of the country want, even that of those that support the PNM. So that is what I have done basically. I've been very strategic. I am playing this chess game in a very clinical manner. And if it is that persons do not want to understand the dynamics of the politics because of being small-minded, because of wanting to stay in one area specifically and have people whisper in their ears and not understand and appreciate the value of that third constituency, well, then you're doomed for a repeat of 2015 and 2020.
Yeah, and I think there are people who will be saying, listen, we have to put our best effort out there and unite in order to bring about that change. And we're hearing it from all quarters of society saying that, these fragmented groups, whoever they may be, they're not going to serve any purpose besides just perhaps maybe splitting or just wasting the electoral time. We need to be under one umbrella to make this change possible for this country. One of the things interesting that in the release from the NTA is that you invite all patriots with or without political experience to join on the journey to transformation. Now, many times people would say, listen, I don't have, I'm not academically inclined, I don't have the experience, but there are many people where their heart, of course, in the interest of Trinidad and Tobago is definitely in the right place, and sometimes they are sidelined. So it brings me to this point, and listening to what you're saying, what are some of the things the NTA is not going to compromise on this journey of transformation?
Well, one, definitely, and I think that has been the biggest problem between us and the UNC at this time. There have been individuals who have been affiliated with gangs and wrongdoing, and I have no intention to compromise the ethics, the principles of the NTA to associate ourselves with individuals who feel that they are going to use the NTA to get into government, to go back to give $5 million state contracts to gang members for building a $50,000 box train. And those are the individuals who unfortunately seem to have the ears of the hierarchy of the UNC. They know very well that Griffith is going to be a thorn in their side if and when we are in government. And I am not compromising. It is non-negotiable. The country is not going to have change for exchange. I intend to make sure that we are part of a government that is, as we are not going to be perfect. I give you that assurance as well. We would make mistakes, but I'm not going to have unforced errors. That only happens and should happen in law and tennis, not in politics. I am not going into a government where I know there are persons who are definitely affiliated with gang members who play with that perception of believing that you can play with filthy animals and not get fleas. And if it is that they believe that they're going down that road, they are not going to be part of the next government. That is non-negotiable. I am not going to go into a government with persons who believe that they're going to use the NTA for their own personal endeavors that can actually have a repeat of what we're seeing right now. The reason why there's been a major increase in crime has always been because of the PNM changing gang members' names to community leaders, giving them tens of millions in state contracts. The information I have, what caused the decline in murders in late January this year, has been because of tens of millions of dollars being pumped into certain areas in the community, and they believe that is going to, it is a plaster on a sore. When those funds have been utilized, exhausted from purchasing more weapons, more drugs, hiring more gang members, that they are going to now target the other gang members to get their contracts via elimination. It doesn't work.
So Gary, basically what you're saying is that this is not just going to be about optics. I mean, you're talking about genuine change where definitely you know where the problems lie and you're not going to have a repeat of it. Is that clear?
Yeah, definitely. So let me clarify. Many times you have these political meetings, and you would have seen that the NTA, we are not part of the political meeting right now with the UNC. I am not going to be part of meetings where we are just going to have people cry and complain. I mean, I could voice my disappointment when we had the first anti-crime talk. They brought in a person who was a pathologist. He started off in 1954 speaking about a body that was found. 20 minutes later, he moved to 1974 about an individual with the body found in Christina Gans with Abdul Malik. We then had a political scientist stating that every time she hears a gunshot, we should call a state of emergency, which triggered an emotional response. Those are the things I'm not here for. I'm not here for the cosmetics. I'm not here for the song and dance. I'm here to find solutions. So what you're going to see with the NTA, we are going to find solutions. We are going to find policies. We are going to find people, the best in the country, regardless of your political party card. So going back to that point you spoke about, when I speak about bringing people with very little experience in politics, that is what this country needs as well. When you look at individuals such as Kevin Ramnarine, and I'm going to call names, Kevin Ramnarine had very little political experience pre-2010. But he proved to be one of the best politicians we had from 2010 to 2015. We had other individuals, a lady by the name of Griffith, no political experience, but she had the charisma, the capability, the intelligence to be very powerful as a senator in the upper house and dealing with the aspects of the Ministry of Finance, of Foreign Affairs. So my point being is that we don't necessarily need old horses with 20, 30 years of political experience. I need young, bright, dynamic people with the capability, the charisma, the political will, and the capability to want to transform Trinidad and Tobago. What you're going to sell the platform of the NTA is not persons coming up crying and complaining about crime. Bringing somebody who looks like a Powerpuff Girl to come and complain about how it's Trinidad given this 20-point crime plan. We are looking to find the best persons available in national security, education, health, the economy, social development, sport, youth affairs, and bringing up solutions, not crying and complaining and bad talking the PNM. That is how we speak about transforming Trinidad and Tobago. We are going to be showing a roadmap towards how we are going to transform this country and preparing from now. Not something known as a manifesto, which is something that we have done for decades based on empty promises and rhetoric, but being able to do proper cost-benefit analysis, ascertain the value for it and how it can benefit the country, how we can find the best ways to cut probably 30% of our annual budget, which has been based primarily on corruption and incompetence. That is how we transform the country. And if the UNC hopefully will have that ability and wanting to transform, we will do it. What happened? Let me tell you quickly. What happened in 2007 is because Balsio Pandit did not see and have the respect for that constituency. That 158,000, he said, look, I don't care about you because we have 200, you have 150. You are the smaller part. He failed to understand the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And he paid the political price in 2007. Kamala Prasad Visesa had the ability and the foresight to understand, I have to embrace that third constituency. And she did it in 2010. If at any time the hierarchy of the UNC continues to Balsio Pandey themselves into believing that because we are bigger, we do not need you, we have no respect for you, we are going to use you, you are going to get a repeat of the results of 2007. If we find the leadership of the hierarchy of the UNC having the same charisma, foresight, and capability to appreciate and embrace that third constituency as they did in 2010, it is going to be the annihilation of the PNM and probably the best government this country has seen since 1995 to 2000.
And Gary, let me ask you this. What do you say to folks who would weigh in and make comments such as, listen, you need to understand that you don't have that political leverage at this time. It is best to sit down and iron out whatever your concerns may be. Because, I mean, any right-thinking citizens would know once a marriage is formed, there are things that need to be laid out. And it's better to have those things laid out behind closed doors rather than have it come out, of course, into the open public. So what do you say to people who would say, listen, this kind of conversation or narrative in the public domain doesn't help the cause, and there needs to be some level of understanding to sit down and say, listen, we've got some concerns, let's iron it out. What do you say to that?
What I would say is those people, I am not a hypocrite. I am not going to hide and make decisions behind closed doors. The public must be part of it. The rank and file must understand and appreciate and be part in the decision-making process. That has been the problem, Mikey. For years, we have seen persons go in closed doors. That is what happened in 2010. The COP virtually sold out themselves by 3 people on either side making a decision, and then the UNC automatically having 22 seats, and that was the end of the COP. No support. The COP executive didn't have a part to play. Winston Dukan and 2 others went in that meeting and allowed the UNC to have 22 seats. Once the UNC had that, they realized, hey, we don't need you anymore. And that is my point. We need to make sure this is very open, it is very transparent, and people would appreciate that because people no longer want to have decisions being made behind these closed doors. And again, this is very healthy. It is going to ensure that we are going to have some teamwork that is dynamic, that is proactive, and it is not going to be used or utilized by 2 or 3 individuals making their own decisions, and the rank and file must just blindly support it. I think each and every member of the UNC can appreciate the fact of the value of that constituency. Anyone who continues to underestimate the value of the third constituency, I ask you to go back to the history of the general election 1981, 1991, and 2007. Without appreciating, embracing, and respecting that third constituency, it spells annihilation for any party other than the PNM.
And let me add to this, Gary. You know, we've heard this so many times being pronounced by parties that are coming up, always about it's new, it's going to be different, it's a paradigm shift, it's something you've never seen before. And then sometimes, well, most times it ends up being basically the same, staying within the status quo. When we talk about change, are we going to see where the NTA is going to have their candidates being screened? Would we have that, let's say, for example, on a live stream? So those people who live in those communities could say, listen, I know Harry. Harry passes this pothole every day. Harry knows the problems of the people. Harry knows the young people who are unemployed. I like Suzanne. Suzanne knows exactly what this area needs. She was born here. She grew up here. She's in connection with the people. Are we going to have things like that change where we can actually see these things perhaps being streamed live and saying, hey, look, I like what they're doing. I like who they're choosing. Too many things are done behind closed doors. And at the end of the day, whoever comes out and is forced, and I use the word strongly, forced upon the people to say this is going to be your representative, whether you're happy or not, you simply have to take that. These are the kind of changes I'm talking about that is not going to be cosmetic, and we can see for ourselves.
No, definitely. And again, not everyone could be pleased. You're not going to get every single member
I
of
agree.
constituency taken up here. But at the end of the day, you must have exactly what I spoke about. If we intend to make sure we do not have a repeat of political parties unifying and then it becomes a marriage of convenience and just a few months or years later it leads to a collapse, similar to what took place in 1986 and 2010, the only way that can happen is if the rank and file can be part of the process. Not exactly as I said is what you have just repeated. It goes along the line of making sure that in the selection of candidates, in the decisions that we make, and again, that may have been a problem with the Congress of the People in 2010 because decisions were made and that 150,000 they moved along with it and not knowing what was the decision made, what was the part of this alliance arrangement that would have taken place. We intend to make sure that the rank and file, they are fully aware and they appreciate it. I am also asking each and every member of the United National Congress to understand we're not the enemy. We may be a different political party. And I would ask them to appreciate the fact that the only way the UNC could ever get in government is to appreciate that constituency. Not to use us, not to see us as a necessary evil, but there are definitely going to be people in the NTA who may be concerned about working with the UNC. They don't see the bigger picture. There are people in the UNC likewise that based on jealousy, based on envy, based on just being totally clueless that they don't have the ability to lead, and they see when it is you bring in that constituency, you bring in persons with the ability at times to push you down that pecking order, and because of that, they will whisper in the ears of persons and give the impression that the UNC can win alone. The UNC do not have a snowball chance in hell to win this election on their own. It must be done. It has to be done. But for it to happen, we cannot be playing this type of game where the UNC made an initial call a few months ago and said they are vying for all 41 seats. When you do that, again, it triggers the mind of people, what are you getting at? So I intend to be very strategic. So the same way the UNC has stated that they are going and they have put up for all 41 seats for candidates, we are going to do the same. And when that happens, by and large, if the UNC believes that there's any chance that they could actually maintain all 19 seats, it is not going to happen. You need to appreciate us, not see us as unnecessary evil, not use us. And again, the same way that you may have numerical superiority, we also have a number that is so powerful that when you add those 2,000-3,000 extra votes in those 41 constituencies, it increases your numbers from 19 to vary from minimum 21 to maximum 29, if not 31. So it is hoped that good sense will prevail, but as I said, there's going to be a strong degree of transparency and making sure the rank and file have a part to play in the decision-making process.
Tell us quickly the NTA anti-crime talks. I know you did mention that. When is that going to be launched?
It'll be just about very early in March. And as I said, it's not just about crime. We are going to have policies pertaining to the transformation of Trinidad and Tobago. We will be putting out a roadmap, not manifestos with empty promises of we are going to build this causeway and we are going to build this complex and we are going to fix your roads. No, we are going to show how it is that we can transform the Ministry of Transport by reducing expenditure whilst not affecting productivity, how we are going to find ways to improve and boost the economy by reducing unwanted expenses and finding better ways for investment, how we can find policies, programs to ensure that this can be the safest this country can ever be under national security. How we can find systems to have the Ministry of Sport as a core ministry to transform young minds and turn them into not good persons but great citizens. So that is what we are going to have. Not persons come up, cry, complain, give problems. No, we are here to be solution-oriented, to find ways to solve the problems, not to cry and complain. Because by doing that is basically the same crowd that is complaining, and they have a right to. We are not going to bring persons on the platform who are going to complain about crime. We are going to show you the solutions that can be done to fix crime.
Understood. Closing comments. I didn't want to touch on the crime thing because I know your focus is on this, and I can hear like your sinus is starting to act up. So I don't want to keep you any longer. Any closing comments? Go right ahead.
No, that what I ask is that please understand, at the end of the day, whether you're PNM, UNC, ABC, or XYZ, the enemy are not those individuals with their political party cards. One of the things I tell you, you're going to see a lot of things pertaining to how we intend to transform Trinidad and Tobago. And this involves not just persons who are against the PNM. The PNM is a great party. They have done a lot, and there are persons in the PNM I would love to see being part of the transformation of Trinidad and Tobago. I'll just give you a quick one. For example, state boards. Our state boards, billions would have been spent and lost annually because of corruption and incompetence by persons who are appointed in state boards. We have individuals in state boards who have absolutely no qualification, experience, or training in that state board, but they have the party card of choice. We intend to make sure that state boards, you must have some minimum degree of qualification to make you eligible. And maybe it is that the opposition should have at least 10% of the persons in state boards to monitor what is being done there. And those are the kind of things that you're going to see. Those are the things you're going to hear. I'm not here to give a wish list. I'm here to find solutions to transform Trinidad and Tobago. We are going to be able to do that. Not just the NTA, but persons who believe in that transformation. That roadmap is going to be something that is going to blow the minds of this country. We are not here to cry, to complain, to bad talk the PNM. No, the days of that doesn't help. Our job is to find ways to fix Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you so much, Mr. Griffith, for your time. Best of luck to you and your entire team, and we'll be checking in with you periodically. Thank you so much.